With trillions upon trillions of stars in the known universe, it is highly unlikely that Earth is the only place where life has developed. Get the fuck over yourselves, we're not that special. When people think of aliens, they either think parasitic chest bursters, naked blue people from Avatar, or those green anal probers. But an actual alien organism would probably be really different. To figure out what alien life might look like, we have to first look at what life needs to survive and the environment in which it would live. The only life we're aware of is on Earth, so our perspective of life is very limited. On Earth, life is made of carbon, the energy that fuels the food chain can be traced back to the sun, and it uses liquid water. While this is the only version of life that we know, scientists think it may be possible to supplement liquid water and carbon for things like liquid methane and silicon. Even though it's possible that the liquid used would change, water is very good at bonding to make organic compounds, and it's also stable at liquid form in relatively reasonable temperatures. So liquid water is probably needed for life. Another thing to keep in mind is that on Earth, we usually think of complex life in three groups: plants, animals, and fungi. While some organisms found on other planets may resemble these archetypes, it's also very likely that an organism will deviate from this. For example, on an alien planet, one could see an animal capable of photosynthesis, or a plant with animal sensory organs that could help it engage with its environment. With that long-ass paragraph that was still somehow a drastic oversimplification out of the way, it's time for me to show you dem aliens. We're gonna go over a couple types of ecosystems and what might live there. Ecosystem 1. Ice-locked ocean. Many terrestrial planets with extremely cold surface temperatures are entirely covered in ice that reaches miles below the surface. Scientists theorize that below this frozen surface could lie an ocean kept thawed by the heat from the core of the planet and geothermal vents. Simple living organisms could use this heat energy, and more complex organisms could survive by feeding on them. It's hard to tell what life would look like down there. Not just because it's hard to imagine, but also because there's no fucking light below the surface. With the lack of light, life might develop bioluminescence in order to help it see, or have organs similar to electroreceptors to sense electricity produced by other organisms. One thing's for sure, whatever nightmarish abomination figures out how to orient itself best in that inky black void would be an apex predator way scarier than any movie monster. While it would be theoretically possible for intelligent life to develop here, it would be almost impossible for the intelligent life to take steps towards the creation of technology, seeing as how it is locked inside of an ocean. Ecosystem 2. Gas giant. Scientists claim that it's possible for some gas giants to be capable of housing life. If a gas giant had water vapor in its atmosphere, this could potentially supplement the need for liquid water. In this atmosphere, complex life may resemble an organism that evolved to float in the atmosphere, possibly by using a sac filled with organically created gas that's lighter than the gas in the planet's atmosphere. Carl Sagan claims that if such a creature were to exist, it could potentially grow to sizes as large as a city, due in part to the fact that the surface area of gas giants are massive, dwarfing that of terrestrial planets. These creatures would most likely get energy either from the sun, organic compounds in the atmosphere, or from feeding on other floaty boys. If these creatures were as large as cities, it's possible that other organisms or even entire ecosystems could evolve to live out their lives on these living fleshy fart balloons. Intelligent life would also be theoretically possible here, but you run into the same problem that materials in this ecosystem would not be as easily accessible to intelligent life. Ecosystem 3. Terrestrial rocky planet. While the structure of these planets are the most similar to that of our own, that doesn't mean that the environment is the same or that life would be in any way similar to Earth. That being said, it's completely possible that certain adaptations could be universally helpful on these worlds and would appear on both planets. I predict that practical common things on Earth like legs and sensory organs would be the things most likely to be shared amongst the two different ecosystems. In my unprofessional opinion, a terrestrial planet has the highest potential for intelligent life to create advanced technology. This is because on some terrestrial planets it would be possible to create and sustain a fire on the surface, meaning the species could follow a similar technological development path as our own. If there's so many planets out there that might be able to contain life, and some of it might be intelligent, why can't we communicate with it via radio waves? This video is about astrobiology, and I'm not going to be going down the whole Fermi paradox rabbit hole, because that's a topic for another video. The short answer is, we haven't had radio waves that long in relation to how long we've existed, and there's no guarantee that's the most effective way to communicate. If these aliens could visit us, they'd be way more advanced than us, and they wouldn't use radio for the same reason you don't see any motherfuckers out today communicating via carrier pigeon. I could theorize pretty much endlessly on the different forms life could take, but it's a possibility that life would be so alien on other planets we might not even recognize it as living. Any creature like this is not one I would be able to imagine, and if I tried to imagine it, it wouldn't be one that I couldn't imagine because I already imagined it, meaning I can imagine it. If you liked whatever the fuck this was and want to see more, subscribe and drop a like. I'm not a scientist, I'm a guy who makes cartoons, so if I got something wrong, that's why. If you want to see any more weird internet shit that I do, all the links are in my description. Big thanks to Lizard Flu for creating that that dope 3D background for the terrestrial planet. I'm gonna be collabing with him on an Oni Plays animation soon. As always, like, sub, and hit the bell, and I will see you all in hell.
Okay, bye.